everyone, today I'm going to show you how to zombify a person in Photoshop. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the background of this photo because I just want the subject. How am I going to do that? Is by going over to the quick selection tool, clicking here, and then I'm going to click and drag over, highlighting what I want selected. Now I'm going to refine that selection by coming up to select and mask, and you'll see what I have selected and what I don't have selected in the red. I'm going to go and zoom in here to this ring area because I can see that I have stuff that I want selected. I'm going to make sure I have my brush tool selected, and I'm going to have this minus selected, and then I'm going to come over here and actually brush in or paint in the area I don't want. I'm just going to do this real quick. And then also I see the ring has some that I want selected, so I'm going to come over to the plus, change that, and then I'm going to paint away this red here. Oh, messed up a little bit there, so I can come back over, fix that. Now once I'm done with that, I'm going to come back over here down to output to, change the selection to layer mask, and then I'm going to go over to OK, and there we go. The next step is I'm going to change the skin pigment of my subject here to make her look more like a zombie. So to do that, I'm actually going down to here to the add a new adjustment layer, click on here, and then I'm going to go over to hue and saturation. Then I'm going to go up to hue, mess with this a little bit. You can see I can do multiple colors. I'm going to go more with a green, sickly feeling. Then I'm actually going to desaturate a little bit by going left. And then the next thing, I'm going back down to adjustment layers, and this time I'm going to levels. So I'm going to mess with my levels a little bit. Get it to where maybe where I want it. Looks good, and then I'm going to go back to hue, and then I'm going to change this a little bit more, get it to a place that looks good right there. So our next step is that I'm going to add texture to the skin by using another photo that I have found over the internet. Now I have downloaded that photo onto my computer here, and I'm going to use File and Place Embedded. And then I know where it is, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to get to that photo. This is a picture of a cracked dry mud bed. So I've clicked here, and then I'm going to put place. And you see the photo has popped up. Now I'm going to arrange it to be over my subject here. I'm actually going to lower the opacity a little bit, that way I can see below. Also what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tool here and warp the image a little bit. Get it to a place where I want, we're happy with. Okay, and once I'm done with that, click the check mark, and there we go. Now to get rid of this area, what I don't want, but keeping the underneath as well, I'm actually going to put a layer mask on top. And we're going to do that by going to this button down here, clicking there. You'll see a white box pop in that layer. Now, if I have my brush tool selected, and make sure black is in the foreground, I can paint over what I don't want. I'm actually going to up my size of my paintbrush by either going over here or using the bracket keys. And then we're just going to paint away here. I also like having a soft round brush as well when I do this. Makes the edges soft, doesn't give a hard cut to it, which is good when you're trying to blend in some things. So I'm going to do this real quick. If I mess up like this, I can actually come back over here and make white my foreground and paint it back in. So I'm going to clean this real quick. Alright, you can see that I've taken some time and gotten to where I want it to be. I'm going to move this down to underneath my adjustment layers, so that way those will be on top, and you can see that they're being applied to the level below them, so I have the same tint and levels as I have for my subject itself. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some objects to this subject, make her look like she's been hurt or had some damage to her. And with the same thing I did with the texture of the skin, I'm actually going to use some pictures that I found on the internet. So we're going back up to File, Place Embedded, and I have these zombie items. Now that's exactly what I typed. There's some zombie makeup effects that we can use. You just have to put that in whatever search bar you use. So I'm using these scars, hit place, and then I'm gonna arrange this here. I'll put it up here, a little smaller, and I'm gonna hit the check mark. Now same thing with the skin texture. I'm gonna put a layer mask on it, and I'm gonna come over, make sure my brush is picked. I'll brush away a little bit here. There we go. Alright, and I'm going to add another one. Place Embedded. Let's use this one. A little bigger. Let's place it around here. Okay. And then again, I'm going to put a layer mask on it because I want to clean up this edge a little bit. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, once I have that done, that's looking pretty good. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to white out the eyes a little bit, make her look more of the undead. And to do that, I'm just going to make sure that my top layer is chosen here. I'm actually going to add a new layer. Then I'm going to come over here, have my brush tool selected, make sure I have a white color selected, hit OK, zoom in a little bit. And then I'm going to brush a white over the eye here. Don't worry about going over it right now. Same thing over here. Okay, then I'm going to go over to the opacity, lower that a little bit until I barely see the eye underneath. Okay, and then I'm going back down to add a layer mask. Click on there, and now, just like I've done with all the other objects, I'm going to come over here and clean this up a little bit. So the last thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to add a background to our picture here. And I'm going to do that by going to File, Place Embedded, same thing we've done with the skin texture. And I'm going to use this photo I have. I hit Place, and it's going to pop up. Now I can resize this by clicking on the corners here. Move it around a little bit. I'm going to hit the check mark up here. And then I'm actually going to click and hold, drag this layer all the way down to the bottom. So that way everything else is on top. Now if I don't like the way the position is, I can make sure that my movement tool is selected. And I can come over and rearrange it. Now if I want to resize it, I can hit Command T, bring up my transform box, and I can resize it that way. And once I'm happy where it is, I'm going to hit the check mark. So one thing I've noticed is that my adjustment layers have affected all of my layers below it. But I don't want it to affect my my background layer. I have that applied too. I don't want that. So what I can do is I can actually select all these layers by holding shift and clicking on each of them. Then I can drag, click and hold and drag all the way down to this folder icon. This is your group icon. And now these are all in a group. Now with my hue and saturation, come up to the clip layer button, click on that. And same thing with levels, click there and then click on the clip layer. And there we go. Now the levels and saturation will only affect my group layer and it will not affect my background layer. And there we go. We have a spooky zombified person. Please check out our library at munciepubliclibrary.org or stay here and check out more of our YouTube videos. Have a good day.